Hello there, my name is Tom Timbrooks and I am running for the United States House of Representatives for Oregon's 6th Congressional District. I am a Republican, so I mean this is Oregon. Wish me luck. Yep, this is what I look like in reality. This is what I look like in a picture. I think I'd rather look at a picture of me because I got that cute Scottish kind of smirk on my face there. Makes me look friendly and everything. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to be running in 2026 for the office of House of Representatives for Oregon's 6th Congressional District. I hope you vote for me. I hope you like me. The reason I do these videos is because, well, I'm hoping people who vote will pay attention to them. I'm on a budget of $0. I cannot afford a major campaign. I can't afford millions of dollars for a campaign. So this is what I get. This is my grassroots effort. I'm not financed by George Soros or Elon Musk or any of the billionaires that want to use their money to express their political will. So you know, here I am. It's just me talking to you, the Oregon voter. Vote for me, and every week I'm going to put out a video like this talking about my views on politics. Now, today's video is going to be about the State of the Union address. The State of the Union address happened last week. I thought it was pretty neat. Donald Trump got up in front of Congress and said, hey, State of the Union, blah, blah, blah. Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution requires the President to make a State of the Union address periodically. And so in case any of you are wondering why is it Donald Trump is bothering with this when, you know, I mean, how many people really listen? It's not a publicity stunt. It is actually a constitutional requirement. Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution states the President will from time to time make a State of the Union address, okay? That's why it happens. So you can watch it, don't watch it. It has to be made. You don't have to watch it, okay? But me, I watch it because I'm actually interested in the political state of the United States. I want to make sure I understand what's happening. I want to understand the State of the Union. I want to get the perspective of the people who are running the United States. Okay, so that's why I watch the State of the Union. So, like I said, make Oregon's 6th Congressional District America's greatest congressional district. Boom, that's what I believe in, man. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so the President of the United States State of the Union Address 2026. There's Donald Trump right there. He's doing a great job. Yeah, Donald. And you got Speaker of the House and Vice President there in back of him. Okay, so one of the things he starts out with America's back. And yeah, America, yay, America's back. America never left. Every president is going to say, yeah, America's back. Okay, I mean, the last administration, the Biden administration, President Trump had just lost to Joe Biden in the election, and people were saying, hey, America, welcome back. And so in this administration, people are saying, all right, America's back. So really, I mean, that's kind of an ambiguous statement. Anybody can make it. So the whole America's back thing, whatever. And now it's 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, not America, our Declaration of Independence. Our Declaration of Independence was signed, ratified July 4th, 1776. The American Revolution. I don't consider America to actually have been an independent nation until after the British said, okay, we give up. You guys are too much drama. We don't need that much drama here. We're going to give up. We're going to let you guys be your own thing. And, this is what we want, and you guys can have your freedom. And basically what Britain said, not Britain, England. A lot of people confuse England and Britain, and it's natural. Okay, Britain is an island, okay? The island of Britain. On Britain, you have England, Wales, and Scotland. Okay, so the British Isles include Britain and Ireland and a couple of other smaller islands that you probably never heard of. Okay, so that's the British Isles. The United Kingdom is England, Wales, Scotland, and North Ireland. Okay, so anytime you see the British flag, the English flag is a white background with a red cross. The Scottish flag is a blue background with a white cross, and North Ireland is a white background with a red cross. If you put all of them together, the resulting flag is the Union Jack, which is the flag of the United Kingdom. Okay? So, we weren't fighting. The United States was not getting its independence from Britain. The United States was getting its independence from the United Kingdom or England. Okay, so the English, they were doing this. So let's just to understand that. Okay, so anyways. We celebrate our independence by celebrating the Declaration of Independence. The actual independence from England happened after the American Revolution came to an end. Okay, so for me, yeah, America is 250 years old, but just to be on the safe side, I think we should celebrate the end of the American Revolution also, which I believe is September 16th or something like that. But it's like, 6 years later. Anyways, so, yeah, I like July 4th. I think it's a great little holiday. We get fireworks and everything. I'm not going to look too far into it. America's 250 years old. Great, we're 250 years old. Whenever my niece and nephew ask me how old I am, I tell them, well, this year I'm infinity, and next year I will be forever. So, yeah, they don't, it's like, I don't know, how old are you? Anyways, so back to this. Okay. Turn around for the ages. Yeah, we're going to do that. Oh, this is great. Representative Al Green with his Black People Aren't Apes banner. Oh, there's Al Green. Hey, black people aren't apes. Okay. And there he is. Hey, black people aren't apes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, black people aren't apes. Here's the thing, Al. I'm a scientist, engineer, smart guy. I mean, as good looking as I am, I don't have to be very smart. I just happen to be this good looking and very smart, very well educated and everything, okay? Now, during the process of natural selection, everything started out as ooze. Okay, a couple billion years ago, we were just ooze. Our ancestors were oozing around in the ocean and sliming and all that stuff. Eventually, the animals that would eventually become humans started their own little branch of the tree of life. And one of the branches that came about is our ancestors, and some of these animals were born with tails, and some were born without tails. This branch is monkeys, this branch is apes, and on this branch we have gorillas, orangutans, chimpanzees, bonobos, and Homo sapiens. So here's the thing, Al. Technically speaking, Homo sapiens are apes, okay, all of us. whatever your skin color is, according to our whole chart of evolution, Homo sapiens are apes. All right? Now, I'm okay with this because a lot of times I'll be sitting around watching TV and I'll just be like, I'll be, hey man, I can ape around, I don't mind being an ape. We're not gorillas. There really actually is no animal called an ape. You can't look at an animal and say, oh, that's an ape. Okay, well that's a gorilla actually. Well, that's an ape. No, that's a chimpanzee. Well, that's an ape. No, that's a video gamer from whatever. So, sorry, Al, but all human beings are apes. It's a nice sign, though. Something I notice is that he spelled all of the words correctly, and he put the apostrophe in the correct place, and he's got his exclamation point. So that's a good sign. It's a good sign, Al. You made a good sign. Oh, and look at that. You got your little walking cane up there so that you can, and he's got a ponytail. Good for you, Al. You're just a hero for anybody who thinks they're being called an ape. And whatever. Dude, anyways, secure border. We went over the secure border, and the secure border is a terrific thing. They talked about it, and this is the whole secure border thing is one of the ways that I'm going to help Oregon become prosperous. What we have in our 6th Congressional District, it's over in Salem, is a robot company. This robot company is Agility Robotics. They have humanoid robots, and one of the things that I want to do, one of the initiatives that I want to create is humanoid robots that patrol the border. Because you see, the border crossings happen because nobody's watching. Well, if we can get humanoid robots to walk the border day and night, the people who are crossing the border, they're going to be a little more reluctant to cross the border. Now, since we already have a robot factory in our district, in Salem, we already have that robot factory. Once I get to Washington, D.C., I can be like, hey, you know what we need? Robots patrolling the border. And robots? We got robots. We got great robots. You want robots? We got robots. Talk to Crazy Eddie's Robot Emporium. They'll get you all the robots you need, right? And so let's say they need 10,000 robots to patrol the border. Well, Tesla's going to get on it. A bunch of different companies are going to get in on it. Our Oregon should be able to get in on it, okay? And so that's one of the ways I'm going to provide prosperity for Oregon is I'm going to put it up that, hey, in patrolling the border, we need this many robots. We got robots in Oregon. Come buy some robots, okay? We're practically giving them away. You'd be crazy not to get our robots, man. They're the best robots imaginable. So, anyways, that's one of the things. And for the secure border, okay? Inflation is reduced. And I can tell you, I have noticed inflation has come down. Well, inflation has stopped. We're not going to return to the prices of like a couple of years ago. One of the things I did back 5 years ago when Joe Biden got into office, I knew that there was going to be some inflation that was happening. So what I did, I went to the grocery store and I stocked up on food that has a pretty long shelf life. And one of these foods was just canned meat, canned beef, canned beans and stuff like that. And something I noticed while I was there is I could get a can of beef. This is just a can of beef. Okay, regular beef, and it would cost, I think it cost like $2.20 or $1.90, something like that. It was around $2, okay? So I was like, well, a can of beef for $2, I mean, that's zombie apocalypse food. If there's a zombie apocalypse, I am going to have as much beef as I will be able to eat, you know, because I don't want to have to go out hunting during the zombie apocalypse. Well, I knew that there was going to be a lot of inflation during the Joe Biden administration. So, you know, I figured I'm going to buy a whole bunch of this beef because it's $2 a can. It's pretty cheap. I went to the store recently and I noticed that same can of beef that I picked up 5 years ago for less than $2 a can was around $6.35 a can. So that's, you know, at least 3 times, 300% increase in price. That's pretty significant. And that's just a can of beef. I mean, there's a lot of other prices that have gone up. The price of that can of beef is not going to go back down to $2 a can, more than likely. It's probably just going to stay there because people have gotten accustomed to paying that price. They're going to keep paying that price. So yeah, we're not going to return to the prices of a long time ago, but inflation is down. So the inflation is doing really well, and Trump was right about that. Incomes are rising. 0 illegal aliens admitted into the United States, and that's a very good thing because, you know, it's like Barack Obama, Clinton, all these presidents have agreed that controlling the number of people coming across the United States border is a good thing. And that's something I like about Donald Trump, is that Trump is actually, I mean, he doesn't just talk, he does. You know, what's the term? You walk the talk. You know, do you talk the talk? Do you walk the walk? Do you walk the talk, or whatever? Anyways, he does what he says he's going to do. And that's something I like about this. And this first State of the Union address is talking about, okay, look, I'm not just talking about this stuff, I'm actually accomplishing it. And so that's a good thing there. 50% reduction in fentanyl crossing the border, and that is a wonderful, absolutely wonderful thing. The price of gasoline is down. And we'll talk about the fentanyl thing. Anybody who has ever lost a loved one because of drug addiction can feel this. Can feel this good. I mean, personally, my oldest brother, he died as a result of complications to HIV. And the reason he got HIV was intravenous drug use. He had an addiction problem a long time ago. He died in like 2009 from complications to HIV. And this was an absolutely horrible thing for the family. You know, losing a loved one is a terrible, terrible thing. So the reduction in the amount of fentanyl that is available is a fantastic thing, because what that means is people can start to recover from their addiction. If drugs are not available, then the only choice people who are addicted really have is to recover from their addiction. It's a terrible thing. Drug addiction is a terrible thing, and what's really, really terrible is that people are making money off this addiction. Now, one of the good things down in Mexico is that the drug dealers, these drug cartels, are losing billions of dollars a year. They can't buy politicians anymore. Democracy in Mexico is no longer for sale, and the citizens of Mexico are having a revolution against the cartels, which is a fantastic thing. They don't have to worry about their elections being purchased anymore. So this lack of availability for drugs is a very, very good thing, and I'm very happy about the reduction in the amount of drugs on the streets in America, because that means that nobody, you know, fewer people, not nobody, but fewer people will lose loved ones due to drug addiction. So that's a very good thing. And the price of gasoline is down. He covered this. I took, every time he came up with a new thing, I made a list. I've got more than 10, so I've got like 50. Okay, so the price of gasoline is down. And this is something I want to talk about with Oregon. In Oregon, the state of Oregon, we have no refineries. The last one shut down, like I think in 2008. So we get all of our gasoline and diesel fuel from Washington State. Well, the pipeline, the Alaska pipeline, sends it straight down to Washington. They refine it, and they send Oregon gasoline and diesel. I want to build refineries in Oregon because I want people in Oregon to be independent on if something happens in Washington State and they have to shut down a refinery, that's going to drive up the price of gasoline and diesel in Oregon. And I don't want the people of Oregon to be dependent on what happens in another state. So the price of gasoline has gone down all over the United States. I think that we could do something about getting it down in the state of Oregon. So anyways, like I said, hey, black people aren't apes. All human beings are apes, Al. Put the sign down. Mortgage rates are down, and that is true. Mortgage rates are down, and that's a great thing. Stock market has set 53 all-time highs since the election, and that's true, it has. Over $18 trillion in investments, and Donald Trump has gone out to national and international markets and gotten a whole bunch of investment money for America. Oil and natural gas production is up, and that is true. Right now, the United States of America manufactures more natural gas and gasoline, well, oil and natural gas, than anybody else in the world. No other country in the world manufactures as much as we do. Now, the recent actions, the military actions in Venezuela Venezuela is sitting on the world's largest oil reserves. They have more oil than anybody. It's offshore, but they have more oil than anybody. So the fact that Maduro is no longer in power means that the people of Venezuela will be able to incorporate and profit from their extraction of oil from the ground, which is going to be a terrific boon for their economy. They're going to go back to their pre-socialism kind of economy where people could actually get jobs and food and live in habitable places, and they didn't have to worry about all of their money going to a corrupt government so that he could buy more sports cars for his girlfriends or whatever. And Maduro did that. I mean, he took a whole bunch of money, and apparently he's got a really big collection of sports cars. I mean, I have a Kia Soul, and I like it. I'm not going to buy an expensive sports car because I like the Kia Soul. I also have a pickup truck. It's a F-150. That thing's a nice ride. But it gets like 20 miles to the gallon. The Kia Soul gets 35 miles to the gallon, so most of my driving is with the Kia Soul. I'm not going to buy like a bunch. If I become rich, I don't think I'm going to buy like a collection of Ford F-150s. So I can't really relate to what Maduro was doing. You know, why would you want a collection of sports cars? It's just stupid. But anyways, so that's how he was spending the money of the people of Venezuela. He's just buying sports cars and stuff. So yeah, it's a good thing that he's gone. And since Venezuela is going to incorporate and be able to produce oil again, the price of fuel is probably going to go down even further. So that's a good thing. Unemployment is down in the private sector, which it is. Oh, no more DEI in the United States. I love the fact that DEI is gone because seriously, I have been victimized by DEI. And here's when I was working at Applied Materials, see, initially I was all in favor of DEI. I'm like, DEI, that sounds like, diversity, equity, inclusion. We want that. That's a beautiful thing. Well, while I was working at Applied Materials, I was actually a member of the DEI team. And while I was a member of the DEI team, see, I understand marketing and everything, I would ask the people, it's like, okay, why are we getting into DEI? We need a good reason, because if we want other people to join us in DEI, we have to give them a reason why it enhances their life. How does it improve your life as an employee at Applied Materials or any other company to adapt, bring in DEI? And nobody there could actually give me an answer. They would just look at me like, what, huh? Well, no, I mean, you need a reason. What is good about DEI? What is positive about DEI? And what I found is it's not positive. It's not a good thing. It's essentially just, getting rid of certain people in the work area or taking away the rights of certain people. And the government should never be about taking away somebody's rights. It should never be about taking anything away from anybody. The government always has to be in favor of ensuring that every individual in America has their rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So DEI interferes with the individual's rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And the way they excuse this is saying, well, we're going to take this away from these people and we're going to give it to these people. Well, you can't take something away from somebody. The Fifth Amendment to the Constitution says, no, private property cannot be taken away without just compensation. Well, nothing can be taken away from any individual without just compensation. If you take away an individual's right to work in a position in a company that the person is qualified for, then you're taking something away from the individual. And if you're not compensating that individual, well, that's unconstitutional. So I see DEI as, being unconstitutional. So at first, I liked the idea of DEI. I joined the DEI team, and the more I found out about DEI, the less I liked DEI. I found DEI is actually unconstitutional because it takes things away from people and it doesn't provide compensation. So I am very happy that Donald Trump has gotten DEI out of America. We never should have gotten DEI, never should have had affirmative action also. I don't know if we're still doing affirmative action, but if I do go to Washington, D.C., I'm going to see what I can do about getting rid of any government program that provides financial compensation to any corporation for making decisions that the company would not necessarily want to make. So yeah, getting rid of DEI, I think, was a very good, very positive thing, and I'm glad that the president did that. It was a terrific thing. Millions of Americans are off of food stamps, and that is a very good thing. Of course, the Americans that are off of food stamps, a lot of them were on food stamps because they were people who were brought into the United States illegally. So they were brought into the United States illegally so that they would vote for the Democrats, and the Democrats had to feed them, so they gave them food stamps. So millions of Americans have been taken off of food stamps because they really shouldn't have been getting the food stamps in the first place. And so that's a good thing, because I am not paying for somebody's food stamps anymore, and that's good. I like that. It's important. The Olympic hockey team came in. It was the men's hockey team, and here's a problem. They were talking about 28 Olympics being in Los Angeles. Washington, D.C. is one of the safest cities in the country now. It was one of the murder capitals of America. Washington, D.C. was a very dangerous, very bad place to be, and now it's one of the safest places in America. So I think that's a good thing. That's a positive thing. Very happy about that. So what's the State of the Union? America is a much safer place to be. So that is a good thing. Now, we also had a Coast Guard hero, Petty Officer Ruskin, that saved 165 children during the flood in Texas. And this guy was awarded a very high medal. He couldn't get the Congressional Medal of Honor because, from what I understand, Coast Guard can't do that. The great big beautiful bill, no tax on tips or overtime of Social Security. That's a terrific thing also. That's something that President Trump backed, and I agree with that. That's great. Interest on auto loans is tax deductible for cars made in the United States, which is terrific, encouraging people to buy America. That's why I say, man. Tariffs brought in hundreds of billions of dollars, and a lot of people are saying, oh, tariffs are bad, tariffs are bad, tariffs are wrong. Okay, I think it's wrong for America to finance the economies of other countries. Okay, and this is what's happening. What tariffs do, tariffs encourage America to finance America's economy. So it brings manufacturing jobs back to America, which is a good thing. And it's not just the billions of dollars in revenue that the tariffs bring in, it's the jobs that come back to America. That's a good thing, okay? So the cost of food is down. Yeah, eggs, the cost of eggs and other food like that's down, but it's never gonna come down to the what it was during the before Biden took place here. Water, good stuff. Keeps you lubricated. Getting rid of the Affordable Health Care Act in exchange for the Great Health Care Plan. I like that one. The Affordable Health Care Act, or Obamacare, not a great plan. Basically what it does is it takes government funds, gives those government funds to insurance companies, and those insurance companies are supposed to provide reduced cost health care. That's not what was happening. Basically, these corporations were just trying to figure out ways to waste the money that the government's providing to them so that they can get more government money. So essentially, the government was giving healthcare companies this much money for this much service initially, and then it went to this much service and this much service, but the cost still remained. So the cost to the taxpayer just kept going up, and the services provided kept going down. But that's what happens whenever a corporation is given public funds, is the corporation keeps on trying to figure out how to get more money for doing less stuff. And the government keeps on following it because not doing that is going to be very unpopular with certain people, because there are certain people in politics who depend on government giving these subsidies out. So, and this is something I've got an idea for a 28th Amendment. I want the 28th Amendment to come around, and what the 28th Amendment will do is it will provide a task force to look at any kind of subsidies legislation to determine if the subsidies have a positive or negative effect. If they have a negative effect, get rid of them. If they have a positive effect, let them stay on a year-to-year basis. But that's essentially what I want to do with the 28th Amendment, is try to get rid of as many subsidies as we possibly can. There are a lot of programs that America has going. It's costing a lot of Americans a lot of tax dollars. It's costing Americans a lot of jobs also. And so, yeah, that's something I want to take care of. This is weird. We have my jacket. I got a picture. Here's a video screen of myself right now. Every time I look at my jacket, I'm like, hey, that makes me look like I got a hunchback. Yeah, it's just because of the jacket. I'm a regular person. Anyways, I'm a big person. I'm 6'5". So 6'5" people have problems that, you know, other size people don't have. So that's just what I'm finding, a jacket that fits real well. You know. Anyways, so back to this. Reduced cost of drugs. This is something that he's been doing really, really well, and he's brought down the price of drugs in America, which is great. Allowing power plants to be built. This is a great thing. Reduce cost of electricity, improve the availability of it. Banning firms from buying houses for quick profit turnover, and this is something that big corporations will do, and this is something that drives up the housing. Cost of housing for just regular people. See, a house will become vacant and a corporation will come along and buy the house for an extremely high price. They'll improve the house, make all kinds of maintenance improvements, which is a good thing because it provides jobs and everything. But that house will be flipped and it'll sell for an extremely high price, which reduces the number, you know, the house availability is reduced. Certain corporations make money off of it, and so what Trump is saying is like, look, I appreciate the fact that this is your business model, but Americans cannot afford houses. And so, you know, he wants to put an end to that. So I've got kind of mixed feelings on that. I think that people should be able to purchase a house and, you know, do the repairs and flip the house for a profit. I don't think it should be a huge corporate enterprise that robs the average American of the opportunity to purchase a house. But you know, that's something I really haven't had an opportunity to look into. I have looked into the housing crisis, and what I've seen is there are a lot of opportunities that we're passing up on. I have a degree in architecture that I got back in like 1982. When I thought, hey, maybe I'll get into architecture. Yeah, I never really got into architecture. But one of the things that people were looking into back then is modular housing. And that's essentially, you have a house factory, okay? And in your house factory, you create housing units. And let's say you say, okay, I want a house. Okay, what kind of house do you want? Well, I want a kitchen. Okay, these are our kitchens. Okay, I like that kitchen. Okay, so you want this modular kitchen unit. We're going to place that here. What else do you want? I want 3 bedrooms. No, 4 bedrooms. Okay, these bedrooms here, these are modular bedroom units. I like that one and that one and that one and that one. Okay, cool. So they bring modular bedroom units out to the build site. And we go, 3 bathrooms. Okay, all right, great. Modular bathroom units. And all these modular units are built in a factory somewhere, and they're shipped out to the construction site, and they're put together just like Lego. Okay, and this was going to drive the price of housing down significantly, because anytime you have modular manufacturing, you have identical quality and materials and all these other advantages. The price of houses could go down significantly. And this is why I don't like the government getting involved with businesses, because businesses can provide for the market. The government really has to get out of the way most of the time. So if I get elected and I go to Congress, modular house building is something I'm going to look into as a way of reducing the cost of houses. Also, around California, the port of Los Angeles, they have got thousands and thousands of these empty shipping containers, and they make great storage units. Let's say you buy a tiny house, you're single single family, like you're a man and a wife, or two people living together, and you're just starting out. Get yourself a tiny house. Problem is, these tiny houses, they don't have a lot of storage. Get yourself a shipping container and connect the shipping container to the tiny house. Boom, you've got all the closet space you need, and you've got a tiny home. We can make that happen. Okay, but these ideas, I think the government should stay out of the whole business thing, because government decisions tend to be bad for private enterprises. And so, I respect what President Trump is doing. He's trying to reduce the cost of housing by preventing big corporations from buying up all the houses. But I think it might be counterproductive, because if big corporations do go around purchasing all of the houses and fix them up for resale, that kind of takes away an opportunity for corporate America to create modular housing units. That has to be put on the back burner for a longer period of time. So, I think government should stay out of business. I think business will change to meet the market. So I have kind of mixed feelings about what Trump is doing there, is what I'm saying. So banning for prevent congressional officials from using insider information to profit from stock. And as far as I know, this has never actually been a problem, because insider trading has always been illegal. And I don't think congressional members are really using insider information. See, what you think of as insider information may not be insider information. Like, let's say, for instance, as a congressional official, I see this company is awarded this contract. Well, that's actually publicly available information. Okay, and this is one of the things. If I get sent to Congress, if I go to the House of Representatives, let's say I find out that this corporation is awarded this contract. That's publicly available information. It's not insider information. What I would do is I would write an email to all of the constituents. I would say, hey, everybody who's getting this email from me, this corporation was awarded this contract. Their stock is going to go through the roof. So that everybody in my congressional district would know, let's go ahead and invest in that stock. I see absolutely no reason not to share that information. It is publicly available information. Everybody in my congressional district should have access to that information. If it's publicly available, it's not insider information. I want the people of my district to know about it so that they can invest in that stock and make some money off of it. Okay, so I don't think that congressional officials have ever really had insider information. Insider information, it would be when people on the board of directors come up and tell somebody, yeah, hey, we've got this plan going, and because this plan's going, it's going to make our stock rise in value. But don't tell anybody except that guy over there, or whatever, because you're a friend. I'm going to give you this information. That would be insider information, and that would be illegal. But I don't think members of Congress have ever actually done the illegal thing. Like Nancy Pelosi, she made like $400 million from information that was available. It was publicly available information. She got the information first, and she didn't send that information to her constituents. So realistically, what she should have done is told all of her constituents, everybody who is on the Nancy Pelosi email list, because, her congressional district down in California, they have 700 and something thousand people in that district. All of them should be subscribing to Nancy Pelosi's email, and she should be able to send all of her constituents email about, hey, this corporation is going to do really well in the stock market. You should invest in this corporation. Okay, that's what she should have done. I don't think she actually got insider information. I think it was publicly available information that really you and I wouldn't know to go looking for it. Okay, so that's what I think the thing they're talking about with insider information is publicly available information that you and I just wouldn't have the general understanding of the market to go looking for. So, yeah, if I get to Washington, D.C. and I get that information, I am going to send out an email to everybody in my district, hey, if you're subscribing to my email, this is a stock that you should look into. This is something that you should invest in, because we know that this government contract or this contract is going to this company. The government knows about it. It's publicly available information. So everybody in my congressional district should know about it. So that's what I'm talking about there. So anyhow, Democratic defunding. Oh, this is a new one. Yeah, this is the last one. This is the new one. Okay, so the Somali community in Minnesota taking $19 billion. Yeah, he covered that, and that is really blowing up. I am so glad that Kamala Harris and Tampon Tim did not become president and vice president. Oh, God, that is just so much fraud. The war on fraud, they're putting the vice president in charge of that. CDLs given to illegal aliens causing death on the highways. He addressed that, and they're going to try to get rid of those. Elimination of the open borders. We covered that a little while ago. He just really likes that. Defunding of the Department of Homeland Security. Okay, the Democrats want to defund the Department of Homeland Security. Trump was against that, and he maintained their funding. First duty, oh, this is something he's talking. First duty of the American government is to protect American citizens and not illegals. Let me see if yeah, there we go. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. And he got a big standing ovation from, you see that on the right side there, that's the Republicans. On the left side, the Democrats, they're like, no, we're not going to stand up. And it's like, come on, guys. You're just going to sit down. You do not agree that the first job of the government is to protect American citizens, and then I'm sorry, but I can't stand with that. Okay, I just can't. All right. Punishment for public officials that block ICE officials from performing their duties. And I do agree with that. I don't think public officials should block the ICE officials. Article 6 of the Constitution establishes the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. The President of the United States is sending these people out to perform their duties. ICE is a federal agency. And so ICE, as a federal agency, they have federal rights, federal authority in all of the states. So any public official that interferes with an ICE operation, I think should be punished for interfering with that operation. So I agree with that there. Voter ID and in-person voting. Now, I do agree with voter ID and in-person voting, and more and more I'm being made aware of all these things that happen across the country with these people who, excuse me a minute here. See, when you're old, like I was old like 50 years ago. Now I'm ancient, okay? Old people always have tissue available. This is something that old people learn. We always have tissue available. If you ever have a runny nose and you need a tissue, just consult your local old person. Well, let me show you, okay? Right here, look at this, look at this. Why? Why do I have? Because I'm old, okay? This is something I've learned. If somebody at a restaurant gives me like 6 napkins and I only need one, I'm gonna fold them up, put them in here. because I will always need a napkin sometime. At some point in my life, I'm going to need a napkin. And it's better to have one and not need it, okay? And that's the whole thing there. Anyways, yeah, voter ID and in-person voting. I'm very, very much in favor of that. And I think that in-person voting should, in the state of Oregon, there's that little thing in my jacket again that's causing me to, I hate that. It drives me crazy. In the state of Oregon, in-person voting has gone away. I think we need to bring back in-person voting because it's an added security measure to ensure that anybody who casts a vote is an American citizen, is alive, is not a dog or a cat or something else. But we want every vote to be from a legitimate voter, and in-person voting using a voter ID is the best way to ensure that. So I agree with that. I think that's one of the more important pieces of legislation that we can support, and it's a good piece. So I will definitely support that all the time. Okay, protection from communism in America, and of course we are talking about Zoran Mandami in New York City, who is saying, yeah, socialism is awesome. Socialism's not awesome. And see, people love socialism, they love the idea of socialism, but what they really hate is the enforcement of socialism. And I've been over this before. Hitler and Mussolini both loved the idea of socialism. The whole Antifa movement actually happened in Italy around the 1920s when Mussolini was coming into power. He's saying, yay, socialism's great. And what the people in Italy realized was, yeah, socialism sounds good, but the enforcement is bad. Because in order to enforce socialism, you need a fascist type of government. And so we in America realized very early that socialism sounds good. It's a beautiful lie. In order for socialism to work anywhere, you need a fascist type of government, a government that can pry into any kind of private matter, look at any kind of financial dealing, all of your property, everything about you will be something that the government will know about. And so we don't like socialism in America. Socialism doesn't work. Communism is just another word for socialism. Communism, there are people out there who will say, no, communism, socialism, two completely different things. No, they are not different things. One is just another word. Communism is just another word for socialism, okay? That's just what it is. And if you want to argue that, then, leave it in the comments. But anybody that knows anything about socialism understands it. Communism, socialism, same thing. And so socialism is becoming, the idea of socialism, very popular amongst college students, which makes sense because college students are, they don't have to pay for anything. Mom and dad are paying for everything, or they're getting loans. The government's providing them with loans. The taxpayers are providing the college students with everything they need. And they like socialism because they figure, hey, that's just basically a continuation of college loans and college life. So, yeah. We have to protect America from communism and socialism because those are bad things. We don't like them in America. Poopy things. Bad. Poop poop. Okay. Get rid of government support for gender-affirming care. I agree with that completely. Gender-affirming care it should not be paid for by the American taxpayer. Just a bad idea. Okay. And so This person right here, he mentioned this person right here, which of course, the guy in back there who was fidgeting with his face, he got up and he killed this girl for absolutely no reason except that he's a dangerous psychopath. And this is Irina Zaretsky, who was killed in Charlotte, North Carolina by a crazy person on a train. He went over this and he addressed the mother and father of Irina Zaretsky. They were there in Congress and they were having an emotional breakdown, everything the way parents do whenever, discuss the death of their child. And President Trump is talking about how they'll find justice. They will find justice for the person who killed it, and they will try to change the system so that that kind of thing never happens again. And everybody on the Republican side stood up and said, yes, we're going to do that, yay. The Democrats did not stand up for that. And this is where he turned to the Democrats and said, you should be ashamed of yourselves. How can you not stand up for that? I mean, that's not even a partisan thing. That's law enforcement. This is justice for somebody who was murdered by a dangerous psychopath. How can you not stand up for that? You should be ashamed of yourself. And that's when this happened here. Yep, these two. Well, actually three. Okay, the person all the way on the left in the corner, that's what's his name? I forget who that guy is. But yeah, this is a openly gay transgender person, whatever. I don't know. And he is saying you should be ashamed of yourself. And both Ilhan Omar and the woman there in white, they're both saying, oh, you should be ashamed of yourself also. And I'm wondering, okay, why should President Trump be ashamed of himself for wanting to get justice for somebody who was brutally murdered? I can't understand that. And I don't want to make broad classifications here, but I don't have anything against Democrats. I don't hate any Democrats. I respect their right to believe and feel the way they do, to support the legislation that they support. But I mean, solidarity with your party should have limitations. When you have something like this where you're seeking justice for somebody who's been brutally, unnecessarily murdered, I mean, you should stand up for that. You should say, look, this is something, it's bipartisan, justice for all. This person was robbed of her life, liberty, pursuit of happiness because of liberal policies, the liberal policies that let this dangerous maniac, this psychopath, back out on the streets so he could just murder people. That's something that deserves applause from Democrats and Republicans. So I mean, this is something the kind of legislation I would support. I would want justice for people like this, and I would want to prevent this from ever happening again. So, yeah, I would definitely have stood up and applauded for Trump when he is saying we want justice for this to happen, okay? The National Guard was sent out to protect large cities. He went over that. Different negotiated peace deals, like it was, what, 14, 15 so far. Return of the hostages kept by Hamas. He talked about that. Operation Midnight Hammer in Iran. That was a thing he talked about with the destruction of their nuclear enrichment capabilities. The NATO payments increased to 5%. And this is all the members of NATO who weren't paying their equal share of NATO. Well, now they're paying their equal share, and that's a good thing for America because the United States was paying more than its share. So it's a good thing that these countries are paying more of a share. The capture of Maduro and freeing of political prisoners in Venezuela, he talked about that. And 2 Congressional Medals of Honor were awarded. One of those Congressional Medals of Honor went to a survivor of World War II, which, I mean, the guy apparently, he did some really amazing stuff during World War II, and his feats of heroism were just never recognized. Well, he finally got his Congressional Medal of Honor while he's alive. That's great. Another person was a Army helicopter pilot who was shot several times in the legs while landing his helicopter. So that was a good thing. It's a great thing to be able to hand out medals to heroes, and this is something that Donald Trump did. Great thing. I'm really proud of Trump to recognize the heroism of our brothers in arms. And the last part, just America fucking A, man. America fucking A. This is the point. And he ended his speech doing really a good America fucking A kind of thing. Sorry, I'm a fidgeter. I mean, this jacket only costs like, I think, $28, but I want it to fit right. Anyways, so I want to kind of leave off with this with Donald Trump. One of my philosophies in life is a friend is a person who, oh God, what do I want to say? A friend is a person who can do some kind of harm to you, your life, your career, your personal interactions with people, your personal life with your significant other or whatever. A friend is a person who can cause harm but refuses to, because your friendship is more important than any kind of advantage that person would obtain by harming you. An enemy is a person who can provide assistance but refuses to, because that person sees your failure as a success for that person, okay? Donald Trump, so a friend is a person who refuses to do harm. An enemy is a person who refuses to provide assistance. So what Donald Trump has done so far is he's provided assistance. He has the ability to provide assistance, and he has done that, which means he is not an enemy. He is trying not to be an enemy. And also he has the ability to harm, but he is not causing harm in any way. With the ICE agents and so forth, he's saying, okay, yeah, we can go balls to the walls and do all this stuff, but I'm not going to do that. I'm the president. I'm not a dictator. I'm not going to be overly zealous. I'm not going to do all these terrible things to enforce the law. I can do harm, but I'm not going to. So in that way, President Trump is being a friend, and he is avoiding being the enemy. And that's really good. I mean, let's think about it. Donald Trump is a billionaire. He's got all the money any person could ever want. He can go out and just play golf and drink martinis and travel the world, sit on a beach getting, his version of a suntan, and he can date any woman he wants. His wife's a supermodel. His kids are all going to college. Their lives are great. He doesn't have to be the president. He doesn't have to go through all the crap that he's going through. He's not doing this for his personal gain. He is doing this because he's a good American. And that was point number 49, the America fucking A thing. The 50th point, that's kind of like my personal point here. President Trump is doing this because he wants to be a friend. He wants to avoid being the enemy. He wants to establish a government that acts as a friend and keeps from acting like an enemy. So in that sense, we're really very lucky to have somebody like Donald Trump in the White House. I think that we're doing great as a country with him, and he's doing great. I think we got 3 more years of Donald Trump. I say let's make them count. So anyways, That's the raccoon of ended presentations. These are 10 things that I want to accomplish in Congress if you send me there. I support Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. I think Tulsi Gabbard for president in 2028 is, that's a reasonable thing. Yes, make America great again, but mostly make Oregon's 6th congressional district America's greatest congressional district. And that's pretty much everything I have. And if you've stuck around and listened to what I have to say, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And God bless and take care.